A'udhu billah minash shaitanir rajim. We seek refuge in God from Satan the rejected. Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. In the name of God, most gracious, most merciful. Salãmun Alaykum. Peace be upon you. God willing, today we want to start another episode from the series of studying the Appendix 1 of Quran, the Final Testament, translated by Dr. Rashad Khalifa, the Messenger of the Covenant. And God willing, today we want to start from the section titled Y19. As pointed out later in this appendix, all God's scriptures, not only the Quran, were mathematically coded with the number 19. Even the universe at large bears this divine mark. The number 19 can be looked upon as the Almighty Creator's signature on everything He created. See Appendix 38. The number 19 possesses unique mathematical properties beyond the scope of this appendix. For example, so before we continue to this section, let's just recap to see what was said here. And it is the fact that actually all God's scriptures, not only the Quran, meaning the Old Testament and the New Testament, they were mathematically coded. And the thing is that the original text, the unaltered original text, which was revealed to different prophets, were actually mathematically coded with number 19. And we have actually proof of that from a person named Rabbi Judah the Pious, who is also mentioned in the Quran as the person who talked about this mathematical code in the previous scripture. Also, the universe at large bears this divine mark that, God willing, we will talk about more in Appendix 38. For example, we have the embryo and the child-bearing process that takes 266 days for a full-term fetus to be ready to be born, and that is a multiple of 19, and that takes 38 weeks, and that is also a multiple of 19, 19 times 2. And these are some of the signs, some of the things that you see in the universe which bear the number 19 mark on them. Also, so in mathematics, number 19 has some specific mathematical properties, and these are some of them that we are going to talk about, God willing. First of all, it is a prime number. So what is a prime number? Prime number is a natural number that is divisible by only 1 and itself, right? The number itself. So what are the prime numbers? We have number 2, number 3, number 5, number 7, number 11, 13, 17, 19, 23, 29, and so on and so forth. So these are prime numbers. So basically, if you want to think about it, in every 19 numbers, right, we only have one number which is a multiple of 19. For example, from 1 to 19, we only have 19, which is a multiple of 19. And from 1 to 38, we have two numbers which are multiple of 19. It's 19 and 38, right? So the statistical probability of occurrence of a number which becomes a multiple of 19 in 19 numbers, right, is 5.2%. So it's a very, very low probability of a number happening as a multiple of 19 in a series of numbers, right? Now, number 2, it encompasses the first numeral 1 and the last numeral 9, as if to proclaim God's attribute in 57.3 as the Alpha and the Omega, right? So this is in the Quran. 57.3, He's the Alpha and the Omega. In Arabic, huwa al-awwalu wal-akhir, right? So the Alpha and the Omega. He's the outermost and the innermost. وَالظَّاهِرُ وَالْبَاطِنُ. He is fully aware of all things. وَهُوَ بِكُلِّ شَيْءٍ عَلِيمٌ. So this being the first and the last, the Alpha and the Omega. And then 1 and 9 is the beginning of the series of numbers and the end of the series of numbers, and number 19 bears both of them, right? 1 and 9 as the Alpha and the Omega. And then we have, it looks the same in all languages of the world. Both components 1 and 9 are the only numerals that look the same in all languages. And that is also a fact. If you go to different languages, you would see that in their mathematical writing, you would see that number 1 and 9 look very much alike. And then number four, it possesses many peculiar mathematical properties. For example, 19 is the sum of the first powers of 9 and 10, and the difference between the second powers of 9 and 10. What does this mean? Okay, so if you look at this, you will see that 9 to the power of 1 equals 9, and then 10 to the power of 1 equals 10, and then 9 plus 10 equals 19, right? Also, 9 to the power of 2 equals 81, and 10 to the power of 2 equals 100, and 100 minus 81 equals also 19. This is very peculiar. Subhanallah. Praise be to God, Lord of the universe, for such a mathematical structure being placed in the Quran. Let's look at these basically verses from Deuteronomy, from the Old Testament, from Mark, the New Testament, as well as Quran, the Final Testament. Here we have, the Lord our God is one, therefore you shall worship the Lord your God with all your heart, with all your soul, with all your mind, and with all your strength. And let's look at Deuteronomy. Here is Deuteronomy 6, 4 to 6. Hear, O Israel, the Lord is our God, the Lord alone. Therefore, you shall love the Lord your God with your whole heart and with your whole being and with your whole strength. So, obviously, this has different translations, but it is actually the same idea of worshiping God alone. Also, we have in Mark 12:29. Jesus replied, the first is this: Hear, O Israel, the Lord our God is Lord alone. So we have the same thing. And also in the Quran, 2:163, your God is one God, there is no God but He, most gracious, most merciful. So this is also mentioned in the Quran. And then we have 17:22, you shall not set up any other God beside God, lest you end up despised and disgraced. Your Lord has decreed that you shall not worship except Him, and your parents shall be honored as long as one or both of them live. You shall never say to them, "Off," the slightest gesture of annoyance, nor shall you shout at them. You shall treat them amicably. So, this is also mentioned here, which is worship God alone. Now, going back here, we see that in this paragraph we now understand that the universal coding of God's creations with the number 19 rests in the fact that it is the geometrical value of the word one in all the scriptural languages, Aramaic, Hebrew, and Arabic. So we have three languages for three different scriptures that have been revealed to different prophets of God, right, throughout different ages. So we have Hebrew. Hebrew is the language which was actually the language of the Old Testament, and then we have Aramaic, which was the language of the New Testament, and then we have Arabic, which is the language of Quran, which is the Final Testament, basically. And then if you look at the geometrical value of letters in these three languages, you see that it's all the same. It's really interesting how these sister languages, which are all from the Semitic languages, have the same geometrical value. If you just simply ask ChatGPT, you would see that it will give you the letters. Aleph, see, in Aramaic, it's one. So we have Bet or Beth, it's two, and Daleth, it's four, and then Wow, it's six, and then Heth is eight. So these are basically different letters of the Aramaic language, and you see their geometrical value, as we have already talked about the geometrical value or abjad value of the letters of the Arabic language as well. Then if you look at the Hebrew language, you would see the same thing. You would have Aleph, it's one, Bet, it's two, Dalet, it's four, then you have Wav, it's six, and then Het, it's eight. And if you look at Arabic, you would see that Aleph, it's one, Ba, it's two, right? Dal, it's four, then Waw, it's six, and then Ha, it's eight. And why I'm saying these letters is that if you look at, for example, the word Wahid in Arabic, which is Wav, Aleph, He, and Dal, you would see that actually it becomes 19. The addition of these four letters, the geometrical value of these four letters, it becomes 19 in Arabic, right? So Wav is 6, then Aleph is 1, so that will be 7, plus Ha, which is 8, becomes 15, and plus Dal, which is 4, becomes 19. The same is true about the Hebrew language and its geometrical value for the word Wahid, as well as the Aramaic language and its and the geometrical value of the word Wahid in Aramaic language as well. Now, if we look at table 20, it says Y19, and we have here Hebrew and Arabic. So we have the word Wahid and the Wahid, and we have their geometrical values as I already explained, and then it becomes 19. So the geometrical value of the word one is 19. The number 19 therefore proclaims the first commandment in all the scriptures, that there is only one God. As shown in table 7, I was talking about the geometrical values of the Arabic alphabet, and previously I have talked about it. As shown in table 7, the Aramaic, Hebrew, and Arabic alphabets used to double as numerals in accordance with a universally established system. The Hebrew word for one is wahid, pronounced wahid. In Arabic, the word for one is wahid, pronounced wahid. See table 20, and table 20 is actually the one that I've already talked about. All right, I think this is enough for this episode. God willing, in the next episode, we're going to talk about the word Quran, and God willing, we will continue with the rest of Appendix 1. And until the next episode and the next session, may God be with you and peace be upon you. Salāmun Alaykum.